Caitlin Marie Denison was born on August 7, 1998, and was known for her bright blue eyes, numerous piercings, and distinctive tattoos on her wrist and fingers. She was described by those who knew her as a lively and trusting young woman. However, her life took a dark turn in early 2018. At age 19, Caitlin met a man in Reno who claimed to be from Midland, Texas. After 6 months of knowing him, she decided to fly with him to Midland on January 9, 2018, for what seemed to be a fresh start. She strangely didn't share any details about the man, such as his name or appearance, with her family, which raised some red flags. She had even confided in her sister Rachel before leaving that, and I quote, "This guy makes me scared for my life." The day after her arrival, on January 10th, Caitlin contacted her family for the last time. Using Wi-Fi at a Walmart in Midland, she called Rachel, sharing that the man was angry and trying to touch her inappropriately. She abruptly ended the call, sent her location via text, and then stopped responding. Authorities believe Caitlin and the man later visited a Domino's Pizza on Linda Avenue in Odessa, Texas, and Rick's Cabaret, where Caitlin might have been seeking employment. Reports suggest she may have spent the night with him in his RV. After that, all communication from Caitlin ceased. She was possibly last seen in the suspect's Ford F-250 truck. Police later identified the man as a truck driver in the Permian Basin oil industry. While they did question him, they haven't publicly released his name or any details about his involvement in her disappearance. Caitlin Marie Denison went missing on or around January 10, 2018, and as of February 2025, she has not been found, and this case remains unsolved. Linda Gibson was born on November 23, 1972, in Somerset, Kentucky, to parents Clayton Gibson and Debbie Calhoun. At age 21, Linda was the mother of a 4-year-old daughter named Stephanie Renee Gibson and was described as a quiet, shy girl who loved life and her family. On July 3, 1994, Linda took her half-brother, Cody Lee Garrett, to the Dairy Mart on Bourne Avenue in Somerset, while their mother, Debbie Harrison Calhoun, stayed home to watch Linda's daughter, Stephanie. Witnesses confirmed Linda cashed a winning lottery ticket for $1 and bought Cody a soda pop and candy bar. On their way home, Linda and Cody were seen getting into a car driven by a man. Sadly, they would never arrive back home and were reported missing the following day. On July 7, 1994, 4 days after they went missing, their mother, Debbie, and her boyfriend, Bobby, were out looking for Linda and Cody when a man they knew by the name of Frank Abbott offered them a ride. They agreed and asked him to take them to the post office. He instead offered to take them to a place where they could search, a place where he said he had taken Linda before. He drove to a remote area just outside the city limits of Somerset, near a fence row behind the Village Green subdivision off Rush Branch Road. It was there that Linda and Cody's remains were found in high weeds along the edge of the field, approximately 2 miles from where they were last seen. Both had suffered blunt force injuries. This immediately made Abbott a suspect, not only because he took them directly to the bodies, but also his demeanor during the discovery. Witnesses said he appeared calm and even asked for a drink at a nearby home while Debbie made the 911 call. Rod Bubba, a local resident whose home was used to call 911, later recounted his observations, questioning how Abbott knew the exact locations of the bodies and why he involved the family instead of notifying authorities himself. This behavior has fueled ongoing suspicions about his potential involvement. Investigators searched Abbott's home, car, and his father's property. However, these searches were later ruled unlawful by a judge, halting further investigation into the evidence collected. 7 years after the murders, a coroner's inquest revisited the case. Debbie testified about Abbott's actions on July 7th, but the inquest yielded no new charges or progress. The coroner's involvement was also controversial, as his actions were seen as politically motivated during a tense election period involving the sheriff's office. Authorities believe Linda and Cody were picked up outside the Dairy Mart, taken elsewhere, and killed. Investigators suspect Linda was the primary target and that Cody was murdered because he could identify the killer. In the weeks and months leading up to their murders, Linda had told her brother and their father that she thought someone was going to hurt her. Her father begged her to tell them who she was talking about and why, but he said she would just sit there and cry. The motive behind Linda's murder remains unclear. Some speculate it was linked to robbery, while others believe Linda may have had knowledge of criminal activity in Somerset. A deputy previously suggested Linda's murder was driven by personal vengeance, and that Cody was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The nature of the crime, a violent double murder with bodies deliberately dumped, has led to theories of multiple perpetrators. It is believed that Linda would have fought back, making it unlikely for a single person to overpower both her and Cody. Cody Garrett and Linda Gibson were murdered on or around July 3, 1994, and as of February 2025, this case remains unsolved. Stephen Charles Clark was born in 1969 in Colchester, Essex, England, to Charles and Doris, both former police officers. When Stephen was around 2 years old, the family relocated to a town near Edinburgh, Scotland. However, tragedy struck when Stephen was hit by a truck after wandering out of the house to follow his mother, who had gone shopping. He spent a month in a coma and was left with a permanent limp and a damaged arm. Despite these challenges, Stephen grew up to be a cheerful and intelligent young man with a passion for music, swimming, computers, and socializing. The Clark family later moved to South Africa before settling in Marske-by-the-Sea, England in 1990. Stephen worked hard to overcome the limitations of his disability, earning the Apprentice of the Year award through the Rathbone Society in Redcar, an organization supporting disabled individuals in finding employment. However, he faced difficulty securing jobs, as employers often hesitated to hire him due to his disability.
Using the yellow pages and the business directory.
On December 28, 1992, 23-year-old Stephen decided not to attend a Middlesbrough football match with his father Charles, as he would have had to pay for his own ticket. Instead, he went for a walk with his mother Doris along the Saltburn beach. During their walk, Stephen told Doris he needed to use the restroom. They stopped at public restrooms near the Saltburn seafront, and Stephen went into the men's restroom while Doris used the women's. When Doris exited, Stephen was nowhere to be seen. Assuming he had walked on ahead, Doris continued home, but Stephen was not there when she arrived. When Charles returned from the match, the couple searched for their son, but found no sign of him and reported him missing that evening. Witnesses later claimed to have seen Stephen near his home around 3 p.m. on the day he vanished. Another witness said they saw him leaving the beach 2 days later with an older man. However, neither sighting could be verified, and the case went cold. Stephen's personal belongings, including his wallet, watch, and glasses, were left at home. His bank accounts remained untouched, and he never claimed the €1,000 prize from his apprenticeship award. In 1999, police received an anonymous letter alleging Stephen had been murdered and named the individual responsible. However, at the time, the letter led nowhere. In September 2020, Cleveland police reopened the case as a murder investigation. The anonymous letter resurfaced, and its author came forward, claiming Stephen's parents were responsible for his disappearance. Despite admitting she did not know the family and her accusations were based on a feeling, the Clarks were arrested. Forensic searches of their home, garden, and surrounding areas were conducted, but no evidence was found. After a 17-week investigation, in February of 2021, Charles and Doris were cleared of all suspicion. Stephen's sister, Victoria Orr, defended her parents and criticized the police for relying on an anonymous letter, which she described as baseless and poorly handled. Stephen's disappearance remains one of the most baffling cold cases in England. Theories include abduction, murder, voluntary disappearance, and that he took his own life, but no concrete evidence has ever emerged. Stephen Charles Clark disappeared on December 28, 1992, and as of February 2025, he has never been found, and this case remains unsolved. Virginia Marie Olson, who went by Ginger, was born on September 13, 1953. In the spring of 1973, 19-year-old Ginger was a drama major at the University of North Carolina, Asheville. Known for her kind and gentle nature, Ginger was described as quiet and friendly with a passion for the arts. On the chilly morning of April 15, 1973, she left her dorm room at Craig Dormitory dressed in a green t-shirt, denim jeans, a checkered flannel, and tennis shoes, intending to spend her Sunday studying. She walked through the Asheville-Biltmore Botanical Gardens, heading to a secluded spot overlooking both the gardens and the campus, a location now occupied by the university chancellor's residence. She planned to study alone, as she often did on weekends. However, her typical peaceful study session turned into a horrible tragedy. Around 3:30 that afternoon, two teenage boys, Thomas Guthrie and Larry O'Kelly, discovered her brutalized body. She had been bound with strips from her t-shirt, stabbed in the heart and neck with a pocket knife, and left exposed in the wooded area. Her glasses and notebook were found nearby, along with her flannel shirt. Autopsy results later revealed that she had also been sexually assaulted. News of Ginger's murder sent shockwaves through the small, tight-knit campus of about 200 residential students. Women were urged to avoid walking alone, and trust among the students had basically been shattered, especially since investigators speculated that the killer might have been a fellow student or someone familiar with the area. Although the Asheville Police Department collected evidence, including Ginger's clothing, and sent it to the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation for analysis, the case quickly stagnated. In 2013, 40 years after her death, former student Richard Beard helped construct a memorial garden in Ginger's honor, ensuring her life and creative spirit would not be forgotten. Siblings Brian and Cameron Santana wrote a book on the murder called A Murder on Campus, and it includes the search warrant, medical examiner report, and other documents that were lost until they were able to locate them. Virginia Olson was murdered on April 15, 1973, and as of February 2025, this case remains unsolved. Wilma June Nissen was born to parents June and Charles on October 19, 1954, in San Francisco, California. Unfortunately, her life was marked by tragedy and hardship from an early age. She and her younger sister, Mona, were separated and placed in different foster homes after being removed from their abusive father. At the time, Wilma had never been to school and didn't even know how to use a fork. Despite these challenges, Wilma was described by her foster parents as a happy, bubbly child who learned quickly. In December 1964, at the age of 10, Wilma was placed with Maxine and Marshall Holt in Anaheim, California. Although she was only able to stay with the Holts for 2 years, they remained a positive influence in her life and kept in touch with her until she was about 22 years old. Wilma's time with the Holts was one of the few bright spots in an otherwise difficult life. After leaving the Holts, Wilma was placed in a series of foster homes and facilities until adulthood. By 1977, at the age of 23, she was living in Rock Rapids, Iowa, and gave birth to her daughter, whom she named Crystal Joy Irvin. Shortly after Crystal's birth, Vince and Alice Haas adopted the child and renamed her Chrissy Haas. Tragically, on October 4, 1978, Wilma's badly decomposed body was discovered in a rural ditch near West Lyon School in Lyon County, Iowa. She was partially clothed, and her feet were bound with a braided hemp rope. Her body showed signs of extreme violence, including a missing lower jaw and only 2 intact teeth. Investigators determined that her body had been in the ditch since June or July of that year. However, at the time, they didn't know her identity, and she was referred to as Jane Doe until 2006, when fingerprint records from a California arrest were matched to her remains. In 2007, Wilma's body was exhumed to collect DNA evidence that could help identify her killer. While no DNA profile has been matched yet, investigators remain hopeful that advancements in forensic technology will eventually lead to justice. In 2016, investigators publicly identified a suspect they believed to be involved in Wilma's murder. The suspect, known by the stage name Sugar, was an escort, prostitute, and dancer who often robbed others in her line of work. Wilma had also worked as a dancer, escort, and prostitute in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota area during the summer of 1978. Investigators believe that Sugar and another individual known as Peaches may have been involved in the crime, but no arrests have been made. Wilma was found murdered on October 4, 1978, and as of February 2025, her case remains unsolved.